Good day, peeps, and welcome back to another Speed Paint. Now today I'm going to say something a little weird in the beginning, and that is that I hope you've had a bad day. I hope you've had somewhat of a little bit of a frustrating day. At least you feel a little annoyed, you feel a little angry, or maybe in the mood to be a little evil. Because what I'm going to be drawing today are actually tropes, or the most stereotypical villains that you can find in any media, from cartoons to movies, even to video games, and I'm going to be referencing them a lot, and I'm going to be creating 3, there are actually 5 that I thought of, but I just managed to draw 3 different stereotypes of villains, all of which you should hopefully be able to recognize almost immediately, just simply through the amount of cliché that's put into each of these designs. But without further ado, then let's get into it. First off, then we've got the stereotype I like to call the driven psycho. Now you'd think being given the title villain and wanting to conquer the world and all that would already kind of signify there's something wrong on the top floor, but there are villains who are based on this kind of madness thought. People we aren't really supposed to sympathize with, but just people that we need to know have completely lost their mind. They're the type of people who, instead of giving you a long monologue, are likely just gonna tell you, "You don't understand my vision," or "I do it just for the heck of it." And if you're watching a movie, playing a video game, or reading a book with a villain in it and you want to spy this stereotype, then look for either the dedicated psycho who's strongly in need of a therapist, the weirdly pretty and handsome boy who spends most of their time just luring in everybody almost like a male version of the femme fatale, before it's revealed that they've been covering up some pretty serious issues, the doctor, or the only one who seems to be motivated by other means than just selfishness, but is likely a person who has gone too far. They've broken all their morals, and now their vision of what's right for the world or how to save the world is so twisted that it's almost kind of sad, but you're still absolutely 100% sure they're evil. And then finally, as the form of the stereotype, I decided to draw the artist. And while this form might actually be one of the rarer ones to find in the media, then it's interesting because it's basically just a ramped up version of something that already exists, which is an artist's need to be unique and standoutish and perfectionist. The manifestation of this obsession basically being going way too far into the taboo, and their art ending up becoming either unethical, unmoral, or straight up just killing people. Kinda like Sander Cohen from BioShock or Jin from League of Legends. Because killing people is art, logically. Now after that trope, which was just kinda like a niche cliché in a way, then let's get into the truly stereotypical villains. Meet the Mastermind, aka Andrew Ryan, Dr. Wily, or Dr. Eggman, or Dr. pretty much anything in any medium ever. These are the villains that mostly rely on their brains to beat the more brawny protagonist who will never really be beaten in one-on-one combat. They're almost always far away from the protagonist, so they always kinda just send their goons on them. That, or then they manipulate them around and use their different doomsday weapons to kill them. Because for some reason, then this stereotype in particular always has a gigantic budget when it comes to all their villainous acts. They're also very good at kidnapping, because this very stereotypical villain also usually comes with a very stereotypical protagonist who is of course unbeatable in every way and doesn't have any weakness except whoever he happens to love at the time. And I'm saying he because it's usually a he. Not being sexist. Blame the Bond movies and Mission Impossible for that one. But if the protagonist gets around all these obstacles miraculously, which they always do in movies, then it's not unlikely that the villain will get up from their spinning office chair and run directly to some third-party thing that can help them, either a mech or another army or any sort of deal like that, maybe like a hidden trump card of an agent or something. Anything that will give them a chance to win against the protagonist in the final battle. Even though they never do, unless it's like Megamind or something. As our final stereotype, then we actually got something that looks kinda similar to the Mastermind, but it's just a little bit cooler. This one I like to call the Big Boss, and if this is the picture that I think it is, then yes, I know I drew it horribly, okay, it was a bad day, I drew it horribly, I know, but don't mind it, just let's stick to it and just listen to what I have to say about Big Boss, and don't care about the drawing, okay? But the Big Boss is basically that, it's a boss. It's like a video game boss. And it's basically just a more modern mix-up of the Mastermind. Because in older movies it was kinda hot to make evil look very small and puny and weak in comparison to the good that is the protagonist. So they basically changed that by taking the evil and giving it steroids. Meaning that now the protagonist will actually have a very rough time fighting the villain in a one-on-one fight. That is if the protagonist doesn't get their ass handed to them by the villain during the first encounter. But while they do seem like just kind of an OP version of the Mastermind, that still has the right to sit in an evil office chair of some sort. But because of their newfound strength, they usually just dump down the intelligence of this villain a little bit. Can't have the villain be some sort of weird, twisted, evil Mary Sue after all. The protagonist still almost always wins though. Sadly, meaning that mostly this villain type just gets sort of written off as the very strong one, but also kinda stupid one. But that was it. That was all I had. Sorry, that was kind of like just a rapid fire session of the different kind of villains there were. I would have actually mentioned 2 more, one of which would be the reformed villain, basically any villain like Vegeta. But there aren't really that many reformed villains who look identical. They don't really have like a similar or similar visual tropes to them. So that's why I decided not to include that one. And the 5th one that I was going to include was basically just the self-manifest, which is kind of like something that manifests in the protagonist's mind or something, kind of like the monster from Hyper Light Drifter or Pyramid Head from Silent Hill. But once again, they're very visually different, so kind of hard to write one down and kind of catch that trope cliche that I really wanted to. So I just ended going with the most stereotypical and cliche villains I could find. Did you think I missed any sort of villain tropes? Or was there some kind of cliche villain you find all the time that I just kind of skipped? Because if that's the case, then please write in the comments and I will comment and affirm my wrongness. But other than that, then I just want to say thank you for kind of dealing with these mediocre drawings at best. They weren't really some of the best stuff I cranked out, but I have a very busy schedule, so I haven't had the time to actually put full effort into drawing these fully fledged drawings of each of the characters. Hopefully I could get some more work done for future speed paints, so hopefully this is just kind of gonna be a one-time occasion, but I can't promise that. There might be some more kind of lousy stuff in the future. But other than that, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.